I would like to say a few words regarding my father. I'd like to start off with something that I wrote, uh, an ode to a great man. A good man makes his voice heard and his thoughts known as he deems necessary. A great man measures his words carefully, so when he would speak, you cannot help but listen. A good man takes on unjust criticism and rebuttals it with sound logic. A great man listens, turns the other cheek, and offers blessing to his critic. A good man shows his strength when he can and is vulnerable if he needs to be. A great man lives in quiet strength and lets his presence known when it's needed and allows himself to be vulnerable when he has the opportunity. A good man works hard to rise up and lead those who serve him. A great man works hard to be a foundation to serve those whom he is leading. A good man faces his challenges head on and doesn't back down, no matter the circumstance. A great man takes on his own challenges and the challenges of others, and does so with an undying smile. A good man tries his best to remind himself to do what is right all the time. A great man cannot help but do right, striving for perfection even in solitude, for it is his nature, but he knows to ask forgiveness when he inevitably falls. A good man can catalog and list for you his good works and charity, for they are his pride. A great man sees them not as good works, but how he lives and what he is called to do. Finally, good men often live long, full, and charitable lives, and great men are often gone from us far too soon. My father was a great man. He's a pillar example of what the best of us looks like. As you may have noticed, the difference between good and great is very slim, almost inconsequential. But for my dad, he lived by that small difference, and he knew just how important it was. One lesson he taught me, not in word, but rather in deed, was to approach every day, every situation, and every challenge with patience, empathy, and a smile. And that was my dad to a T. Ask most anyone that knew Tom Durger over his years, and not one person would say a cross word about him. To say that he exemplified what it means to be a true LaSallian would be an understatement. He had an unrivaled love and devotion for this institution, for the academic and athletic standards it has held, for the good works and service it has done, and most importantly, for the great young men that LaSalle has produced that would go out and change the world for the better. When you get a chance, look up the poem, The Dash. This was his favorite poem. In short, it speaks about how, when it is all said and done, all the time that we spend on this earth, all that we have said and all that we have done, is represented by a simple little dash by the two dates that bookend our lives. Whether you knew him personally, professionally, or just by name and deed, I guarantee he made an impact on you in some way. Where some of the community only knew of his works and his position here at LaSalle, many of us were fortunate enough to have learned from him directly. And a great number of us would proudly admit that we would not be where we are today. We would not be the men who we are today if it weren't for him and his profound impact on us that changed our lives. I am confident that my father's impact, his dash, will continue to be felt, and his legacy will continue to live on within the halls of LaSalle and in the hearts of those that knew him, learned from him, and loved him. I want to say on behalf of myself and the rest of my family, the outpouring of support and prayers and everything that has come from the LaSalle community over these past few months has been incredible. And I thank you all for that. Along with that, my family and I are currently coordinating with LaSalle in the efforts to put together a public memorial for my father that we hope to hold out in the stadium sometime in the early spring. As these details are finalized, announcements will be made to the community about specific time and date. Also, we are working to start up an endowment fund in my father's name. It's still in its infancy, but it's off to a great start. And there have been many donations that have been pouring in for it. So if you are interested and generous and willing enough to want to put something towards that even a little bit, please contact Brian Hydorn. Thank you so much.